threatens millions. Courageous health workers are risking their lives to protect us all, but many don't have the supplies and support they need. Over the past 60 years, Project Hope has trained and equipped health workers in over 100 countries. Now, as the pandemic spreads, Project Hope is expanding its work in the United States and around the world. To learn more about Project Hope's coronavirus response, visit projecthope.org, sponsored by Project Hope.
92.1 The Team. WCKR Cornell.
My friend, good patient of mine. He only comes once a week, but I enjoy him.
She comes in special.
Yes,
early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
For me. That's exactly why I choose VA.
Choose VA today. Visit va.gov.
Steve, April is Diamond Month. Please give me a little refresher about diamonds.
What's this all about, Sue? I thought you were okay not having any diamonds of your own.
Oh, I am, and because of that, our daughters had more choices. When Jeannie got married, her engagement ring was a spectacular sapphire.
And Maggie's ring is diamonds.
Our daughters both love their engagement rings. Now tell me about this ring.
I love showing jewelry on the radio. This is a 14-karat yellow gold ring. The design is a Celtic knot symbolizing endless love and the interwovenness of the couple's lives going into the future.
Now tell about the diamond.
It's a for-real diamond.
Not one of your chrome zucchinis? Can you be a little bit more professional?
Well, if you must know, it's a 1.07-carat E-color SI1 clarity round brilliant diamond with a GIA lab report.
What does that mean?
It's a for-real diamond and very pretty.
Walker Metalsmiths is closed to the public for now, but you can still keep in touch on Facebook, Instagram, and at walkerscelticjewelry.com.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-368-5184. 800-368.
Can't everybody stop for 10 minutes? I mean, everybody seems that's the only... Everybody can we stick... I mean, it's not that much to ask. Is that when everybody has to move when I'm trying to concentrate? I mean, that's so rude. I can't believe it. Why does everyone all of a sudden have to move? I had 2 hours to move around. Wait 10 minutes. I'm sorry to explode, but it's like no one's ever worked before. I actually can't believe what I just saw.
Radio guys who don't have time for the facts.
I heard a dial. And there were 7 people. I mean, we need to use the studio for 15 minutes.
Guys are off to a great start, don't you think?
Hey, buddy, I'm not paying you to hear your thoughts on life.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
You will listen to every word I have to say.
I know that you do some terrible, terrible things, and I can prove that you do these terrible things. And sure enough, contained in the package was stuff to prove that I do terrible things.
Excuse me, is that your nose or did a bus park on your face?
I love the way you talk.
Hail to the king, baby. Don't call me stupid.
Oh, right. To call you stupid would be an insult to stupid people.
Victory is mine.
Got news for you, dude.
I'll use small words. Be sure to understand, you warthog-faced buffoon.
The guilty pleasure offered by the existence of the sideshow Bob is simple and understandable. 99 times out of 100, nearly every time we partake of the movable falafel feast, he serves us nothing but comedy, farce, slapstick, unconscious self-mutilation, the Sisyphus of morons, if you will. But this is the 100th time at 100. It is not funny at all. That's on the record and documented. Americans who deserves better than the sideshow Bob of commentators. We all do.
Well, I think you folks have a real fine show, and it's going to be successful just as soon as people find out what time it's on.
Got Tanner here. Tanner, last week we talked to you. You were quarantined. You had found out last week that your father's girlfriend had the coronavirus. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Still haven't shown any symptoms. Haven't been running a fever at all. Same goes for my dad. And as far as she's concerned, I think it's been 7 days since she last ran a fever. So for all intents and purposes, it looks like we're out of the woods when it comes to that situation.
That is very good. We got a lot to get to today. Don Beebe coming up, former Buffalo Bill and Green Bay Packer. He was with the Bills for all of their Super Bowl appearances. He was also on the team and scored a touchdown in that 1993 wildcard game at Ralph Wilson Stadium against the Bills and the Houston Oilers. Want to get his thoughts on that game. That game was broadcast on 92.1 The Team this past Thursday, so we wanted to talk to him about that. He won a Super Bowl with Brett Favre and Red White in Green Bay. Want to ask him about the current Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. And if you were at that game, 1993, so it was 35-3 with about 8 minutes to go in the third quarter. Houston was leading, and a lot of people vacated the stadium, which you don't blame them when it's 35-3. And then the Bills made that amazing comeback. Some say the greatest comeback of all time, although I do know that Pats fans would argue the Super Bowl comeback down 25 points to the Atlanta Falcons might be the greatest comeback of all time. But if you were at that game, maybe you left and you came back or you stayed, you can certainly let us know at 921theteam@gmail.com. That's 921theteam@gmail.com or 363-TEAM. 363-TEAM. Okay, so we're going to talk to him. Then we'll have Wayne Carroll, legendary football coach in Section 5. He'll be on at 11 a.m. He has been selected to the Section 5 Football Hall of Fame. He's in the top 10 all-time with wins. He's won 7 sectional championships between Romulus and Haberling. He's made it to multiple New York State Final Fours. He's coached at Ralph Wilson Stadium. He's coached at the Dome. And so we want to talk to him about his selection into the Hall of Fame, find out what he's doing in his retirement, and if him and the family are all safe and sound. Then at 11:20, we're going to have Jake Prasuti on, a standout athlete at Genesee Valley. He played basketball there in multiple sports. Then he walked on at Syracuse University. Then he worked for the Houston Rockets in their front office. And then, then he did some other coaching at the college ranks, and he is now an assistant coach for the men's basketball team at Marquette. So we want to catch up with Jake as well. And we also have, I'm excited to say, we have Brad Ordway on, a local singer-songwriter, and he is going to sing some songs for us today. A little living room radio concert. He'll be joining us by Zoom here in just a couple minutes, and he'll be hanging out throughout the show, and he will play some of his songs for us. So it's a jam-packed show. I do want to get to a couple things. The football schedule for Section 5 has been released. I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive when we have time on that. But there are some postseason awards that have been announced for boys and girls basketball on the state level. Tanner, why don't we go ahead and run those down so we can put a bow on the winter sports season here?
Yeah, well, Mason Putnam of Prattsburg was named to the New York State Class D All-State First Team, which obviously well-deserved. He averaged almost 33 points per game on the year, along with 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. He finished his career with 2,515 career points and was named Steuben County Player of the Year. There's many accolades you can talk about with Mason Putnam, but it would take me more time than we have here. So we'll just give some of the other New York, or some of our other local players, some shine who made teams. Tristan Stark made the Class D 4th team for Avoca, and he was their big man this year. Just pretty fantastic player, good rebounder, always hustling out there. Jonathan Jensen made Class D 6th team, the 6'4" foreign exchange student out of Denmark. 6'4", could handle the ball, could shoot from downtown. He was a pleasure to watch this year. And the youngster, Pacey Hopkins, made Class D 7th team for Avoca. The sophomore amongst all the seniors out there, but still, made enough of an impact on that team to be recognized by the state. So shout out to all of our local players that made the all-state teams this year.
That is very cool, so congratulations to them. And then was there another one? Did you mention the young lady from Jasper there, Tanner?
Oh, yeah, she was awarded a Section 5 scholarship. She is going to play basketball at CCC, Corning Community College, as well as studying health and physical education. Her name, Allison Hayes. Now, Allison, I will address you personally here, even though I think the chances that you hear this are slim to none. But let me be the first person from the student body to welcome you to Harvard on the Hill, also known as Corning Community College. I hope you accomplish more in your academic career there than I have thus far, but you're already off to a pretty good start by getting a scholarship, because that's something I never did. But yeah, best of luck in the future. We might cross paths, but if not, then welcome to the Red Baron squad. Let's run it up this year.
All righty, well, there you go. So congratulations to all of them. All righty, let's see if we can move to our musical portion of the show. I don't know how well this is going to work. Again, like I said, having some internet issues here today because of the snowstorm. So I don't know how all this is going to go. Hopefully it goes fairly decent. I think I see him here on Zoom as Brad Ordway is joining us. Looks like he might be in his home studio. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully he can play a couple songs for us, do a little bit of a living room radio concert for us here. If we can't go to the live music, well, we'll bring the live music to you. So let me over to the computer, bring him up here on Zoom. Looking good as always. Brad, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Joel. It's a pleasure to do it.
You are a graduate of Canisteo.
Yep, 1977, alumni.
Now you're also a retired teacher from Haberlin?
I taught for 35 years, physical education. I was a coach in a lot of different sports, and enjoyed my time there. And I've been out of work now for 4 years.
You actually won a sectional championship with the Haberlin boys varsity basketball team, correct?
We won in 92-93. It's the only title in the school's history, unfortunately. But I know they've got a good crew coming up, and I hope to see them get a couple more here in the near future.
Now, how long have you been a musician? Have you always been a solo artist, or have you been in bands?
Well, it started in a band in high school, and we did pretty good, business between 1977 and 81. I was in rock bands for 2 or 3 years here locally. We used to play Brothers Four, that's now Muehlheisen's and Elman's. Regularly, the Blue Angel, which I don't know the name of the place now, next to Bowling Alley. Ralph Johnny's Restaurante, if anybody remembers that, that's how off track. So, I can go back quite a ways there and some of those places. And then when I went to college in Portland, I also joined up with a band out of Newfield, New York. And we played in the Ithaca area for another couple of years. And then I said, I got to make a decision here. Am I going to be a coach and a teacher and do, my livelihood, or am I going to struggle on here in music? That was an easy choice. We get a family growing and went into teaching, which is in sports, which is my number one love anyway. And music has always been there as well. I've just been kind of a closet player, guitar player forever, and I finally got the nerve to get out, and probably not until my, I would say, 40s, although I've done weddings and so forth before that. I'm starting to, really edge out there now and do a lot of stuff.
Well, I've seen you out several times. You do a great show live, and we want to bring people some live music since they can't go out and enjoy music at restaurants or bars or different venues. We go to commercial break. It's Brad Ordway.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-482-8399. 800-482-8399. That's 800-482-8399.
It's amazing what a simple refresh can do to make a difference in your home. And Lowe's is here to help make it happen. Start by shopping our new wall tile selection with hundreds of mosaics, including modern blacks and blues. Marble mosaics starting at just $7.98. And finish off your project with dual scrub and stain-resistant Valspar Ultra Interior Paint Plus Primer starting at just $24.98 a gallon. Whatever updates you need to make today and every day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 2/19 U.S. only.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. You'll proudly mow the lawn. Ask if anybody noticed you mowed the lawn. Tell people to stay off the lawn. Compare it to your neighbor's lawn. And complain about having to mow the lawn again. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance, which, of course, will go right into the lawn. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
The Bills rallied from a 32-point third-quarter deficit to down the Oilers 41-38 in overtime. Unfortunately, many of you folks didn't have a chance to see the game because of the television blackout, but with some help from my buddy Van Miller, who did the game on WGR Radio, we'll relive this baby hand in hand.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's playoff time. The Bills and the Oilers ready to get it on in an AFC wildcard game. And the road to the Super Bowl, Project Pasadena, starts here at Orchard Park, New York this afternoon. The Bills will have to travel the long way to get back to the Super Bowl this year. They will have to go on the road if they beat the Oilers this afternoon, and they will have to beat them without their number one man, Jim Kelly. Frank Wright will start at quarterback. So, as I said, fasten your seatbelts. It's time to play football in Orchard Park.
Right from the shotgun. Four-man rush for the Oilers. Reich throwing it to the right through the hands of McKellar. Picked off McDowell. Down the far sideline. 40, 30. Chased out of bounds. He misses the man there, and he'll score for a touchdown. Bubba McDowell.
Boy, when it rains, it pours, don't it?
Well, you know, the lights are on here at Rich Stadium. They've been on since this morning. You could pretty much turn them out on the Bills right now.
32-point comeback, huh?
Well,
you never know.
Nothing is impossible. Now they overshift. They give it to Carwell here. No, it's Davis running left, trying to get to the corner flag, and he is in for the touchdown. So the Bills have finally scored. With 8:52 left in the third quarter, they go 50 yards. And a little onside kickoff, and it didn't go far enough. Wait a minute. Yes, it did. Let's see who got the ball.
Yes, sir.
Bills may have the ball.
You better believe they do. And guess who does it? Christie.
Christie got his own onside kickoff out at the 48-yard line. So maybe the Bills can turn it here. Four-man rush, drops back in the pocket, sails it long, all over. Beebe at the 10, at the 5, in for the touchdown. John Beebe was wide open, a blown assignment there.
A blown assignment indeed. He put a move on the corner, Jerry Gray, and was wide open down the near sideline, and suddenly Rich Stadium has awakened.
4:29 left in the third. Here is Wright. Looking to throw, rolls out, throws, down there is Reed at the 5, in for the touchdown. Andre Reed has scored. And now the Bills are back in this game.
As this game swung like a tidal wave here at Rich Stadium.
And now the Bills trail by 11 points, 35-24. You gotta believe if you're a Bills fan. 4:21 left in the third quarter. Don't go away and fasten your seatbelt.
We can overcome, baby. We can overcome this. Watch the blitz.
Reich is going to the shotgun. 4th and 5 at the 18. There's the snap. He backs up. He looks. He throws. Reed, touchdown! Reed for the touchdown. Unbelievable. The Bills are back in it now. Big time. It is pandemonium here at Rich Stadium.
Pandemonium all over. Good job. Hey, we still got one more. Still got to get one more.
3 wide receivers, 2 to the right. Back to throw. He looks. He throws. Touchdown! Andre Reed for the touchdown. The Bills have scored. They have scored to take the lead with 3:08 to play in the game. Andre Reed, 3 straight touchdowns. And the Bills are in the lead with 3:08 to play. It is pandemonium. It is fantastic. Listen to this crowd. Can we get a do you believe it, Van? Do you believe it?
They don't want it, baby. They don't want it. They don't want it, baby. They don't want it.
Montgomery says they're ready. He's got it back and down. He's got it up. And the kick is good. It's good with 12 seconds to play. And this one seems to be destined for overtime.
Takes the snap, drops back, has time, looking around, throws, intercepted by the Bills. It is picked off by Odom. Bills can win it here. Wright puts it down. The kick is on the way, and it is good. And the Bills have won it. The Bills have won it. The Bills have won it. They win it 41-48. Incredible. What a comeback by the Bills. Look at the fans pouring onto the field and the mob scene of Steve Christie.
Well, if you're a Bills fan, that's got to say shivers up and down your spine and goosebumps just to hear that, just to hear the voices and the emotion and the crowd. Very, very cool. And I wonder how many of our audience members were at that game, because as you heard, the game was blacked out on TV, so the only way you could hear it was on the radio, and I know a lot of Bills fans here in the Southern Tier. I wonder if they were at that game in 1993 against the Houston Oilers at the Rail. If you were, email us at 921theteam@gmail.com or text us 363-TEAM. That's 363-TEAM. Let us know who you were, your name, and did you leave? Or did you stay for the whole thing? Or did you say, you know what, we got a 2.5 hour drive back to Hornell in the Southern Tier. Let's beat the weather. Let's beat the traffic out of the parking lot, and let's get out of here. If you did that, did you go back? So tell us your experience if you went to that game. Our next guest played in that game. He caught 4 passes for 64 yards and a touchdown. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Buffalo Bills in 1989. He was the 82nd pick overall. He went to Western Illinois, Aurora, and Chadron State. The only other player I know in the NFL from Chadron State is Danny Woodhead, the utility player for the New England Patriots and the San Diego Chargers. He played in 116 games, 219 receptions for 3,419 yards, 23 touchdowns. He played for the Buffalo Bills and the Green Bay Packers, winning a championship in 1996 with Brett Favre, Reggie White, and the Pack. He's also an author. He also has Don Beebe's House of Speed, as he has a training camp, a speed camp for athletes trying to get to the next level, whether it be college or the NFL. Let's bring him on. I'm excited to chat with him. It's Don Beebe. Don, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Let's start right out with the game. 92-1 The Team broadcast the greatest comeback of all time on Thursday of this week. I think the game would be so much more famous if it happened in the age of digital media and Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and everything. It just would have went so viral. But it's still very well known, obviously, here in Western New York. But I think what people may forget is you guys went to Houston in Week 17 and lost 27-3. So you compound that with being down 28-3 at half and then 35-3. And I could certainly understand why the announcers and the fans thought it was over.
Well, keep in mind, too, that the week before, 27-3, we didn't get beat. We got beat up. I mean, they beat us bad down there, and Jim obviously got, hurt his knee. He didn't play. Also, Thurman didn't play. And I think Biscuit, he was out as well. So we had 3, potential, because Biscuit still could go in, Hall of Fame guys who didn't play in that game. Most people don't know the inside story on this. Some may recall, the greatest comeback in Frank Reich College, and then obviously professionally, I was Frank's roommate. So I remember early that morning, I woke up and Frank was gone. And I was like, where the heck is he? Because we always went down to breakfast together. And it was a really blustery morning, snowy, cold, and I went down to the mess hall, couldn't find him there, went in the meeting room, couldn't find him there, thought he'd be watching film. I look out the parking lot, and his S10 Blazer's running. So I go out there, and I'm freezing. I didn't have my coat, knock on it, and it's all foggy. His windows are fogged up because it was, obviously he was breathing in this truck. I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is this guy doing? And lo and behold, I knocked on his door. Beats, I'll talk to you later. I was like, okay. So I walked away, and he later told me that he was writing the words down to the song by Michael English called "In Christ Alone." So I was like, okay, this is strange, but it's Frank. So he proceeds to tell me as we're going to the game, and before the game, we're just sitting there chatting before the game, and he's like, "Beats, you're not gonna believe this." He goes, I just had this sudden urge to go write these words down to the song that I've been listening to for the last few weeks. And I'm like, okay, great, Frank, we're playing a playoff game here. And he goes, no, I'm serious. I'm serious. I don't know why I had to do this. So anyway, the whole storyline goes that we go and play this game. And he still had no idea why he wrote these words down. And we get to this game, and then the way it ended. Okay, I mean, just like you said, the most amazing game ever that I've been a part of. Matter of fact, anybody that played the game would say that, and anybody who was there would say that. And then after the game, I remember my locker is right next to the hallway that goes down to the media room, and he's walking down there, and halfway down there, he turns around, tells Scott Birchtold, who's the head of marketing and getting guys to do interviews, he goes, hang on, Scott. So he runs back to his locker and grabs the words to the song. And then in front of millions of people, if you remember this now, he says, guys, before I take any questions, I got to read these words. And he read those words to that song. And boy, oh boy, did that just send a whole, through the Christian world, crazy story of hearing how that all unfolded.
Well, a lot of Bills fans already know this, but Frank engineered the greatest comeback points-wise in college football when he was a QB at Maryland, coming back against Miami, I think by 30 points or 31 points down in that game. So certainly it wasn't uncharted territory for him, and Frank always just seemed to be, just like he is now as a coach, calm, cool, collected. And as a quarterback, you have to have a short memory. You go out, you throw an interception, you got to forget about that and go right back out there and have confidence throwing that football. It just seemed like Frank was the right guy at the right time to be leading you guys in that game and bringing you back.
Yeah, he really was. And it was, I can remember this like it was yesterday. We come out of the locker room, and Daryl Talley kind of had a rallying cry. And, Frank didn't say much. He was a man of few words anyway, but he always led by example. But he did say some things. He said, hey, let's just do what they did to us in the first half. So we come out, and, we had a little spark to think, okay, let's get this thing going. We got the ball first. Next thing you know, boom, Bubba McDowell. Okay, now it's 35-3. Basically, completely devastated on the sideline, except Frank. Frank was still pacing up and down the sideline to the point where you wanted to look at him and say, dude, sit down. What are you doing, man? And, but yet he just kept saying, no, let's just keep making plays. And we said, hey, okay, so here we go. We finally put a drive together, and Kenny scores. Then we get the onside kick, and then he throws that pass to me, and it's 35-17. And we're like, okay, this is kind of crazy. This is happening awful fast. And then we got another turnover, and then next thing you know, Andre scores his first of 3, and it's 35-24. And now we're like, okay, this is a game. This is going nuts. And but it was really Frank's ability to just stay focused, never give up, and it was just the epitome of that whole team, to be honest with you. I mean, we just never. It was just. That's why we went to 4 in a row. I'll be honest with you. That's why we went to 4 in a row. It was just all the guys that we had on that team were made up of that structure.
Wow. That is great insight. That is very cool. I have not heard that story. Thanks so much for sharing that. That's a great inside story about game day on the day of the greatest comeback of all time. Certainly in Buffalo Bills history, some would say in all of the NFL regular season and postseason. Let me ask you about Coach Marv Levy. He just always seems so cerebral and intellectual and smart. What was he like at halftime? Was he yelling and screaming, or was he calm, cool, and collected?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen really, Coach Levy out of control of his emotions, I'll be honest with you, except with the referees.
Well, that's true.
He was just a very highly intelligent man, and he was always had a calm demeanor about him. And basically, he just said at halftime too, they did that to us. Why don't we just do that back to them? And then on the way out, I guess he went up to Frank, which we found out later. He said, hey, listen, you led the greatest comeback in college history to go do the same now. And ironically, as it was, it happened. But, the weirdest thing about the whole game, I must say, is to feel the energy of Rick Stadium for one, 81,000 people at that time, was just amazing as a player. I mean, there's no stadium like it. I don't care what anybody says. And then to feel at the middle, to the beginning of the middle of that third quarter when Bubba McDowell ran that in, it felt like it just emptied. And I'm not talking about the air coming out of the balloon. I mean, people just left by the thousands. And so you just felt like, golly, people are leaving. The stadium's half full, which you rarely ever saw. And then to think by the middle of the fourth quarter, the end of the fourth quarter, it was jam-packed again. And we kept thinking to ourselves on the sideline, how'd they all get back in? Well, come to find out later, they opened the gates, right, because they were jumping that 12-foot fence. So anyway, it just shows you the heart of Buffalo, and just, I mean, this is amazing. I've never felt like an earthquake before in a football game, but I remember standing on the field when Nate Odoms picked that pass off, and then we kicked the field goal right there shortly thereafter to win it. I literally was standing on the stadium grounds shaking. You could feel the whole stadium shaking. That's how loud it was.
Well, we just don't want to skip over that. I think that's such a compliment to Bills Mafia and the Bills fans, because you played after Buffalo in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. So to say that Ralph Wilson is the best place and the best fans, that is quite a compliment.
Yeah, well, see, again, when I played at Lambeau, it only held like, I want to say high 60s, mid-60s. And the stadium was way more open, unlike it is now, but it was way more like a bowl shape, open, like a college stadium. So you never felt the crowd near that you did in Buffalo, because it was just a higher stadium and it held it in more.
On the phone with us, Don Beebe, played for the Buffalo Bills, went to 4 Super Bowls, and won a championship with the Green Bay Packers. Don, I know you got a great book as well. I encourage people to go to donbeebe.com and check it out. Tell me about this book of yours.
Yeah, I mean, the book title is 6 Rings from Nowhere, and it's not 6 Super Bowl rings, it's 6 rings. I mean, you won 6 championship games, 4 AFC and 2 NFC rings. And so that's why we title it 6 Rings from Nowhere. But because I came from nowhere, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, because all I can say is there's no way I should have played in the NFL. I mean, it was just God's calling on my life, and I only played 2 years of college football, and the last year was an NAI Division II school. I mean, that's crazy, in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, even. So, and here I was, the first pick of the Bills, as everybody knows, in the 89 draft, because they have first or second round pick, and then, just had this is a phenomenal time being on great teams and being around great people and organizations. And that book, I never thought I was a book guy. I mean, I'll be honest with you. People came to me after we won it with the Pack, and I said, yeah, okay, sure, I'll tell the story, and it's been great. I mean, the book's been great. Now, I actually have a meeting, believe this or not, I have a meeting on Monday. On Tuesday. I have a Zoom call on Tuesday, because they're turning this book into what is going to be like a TV series. And I can't divulge the name of it yet, but it's had the works of putting it into movie at times throughout the years, and it kind of fell through. But this thing has got a lot of momentum now out of Nashville, and here we are. I mean, this could be the thing where this thing turns into a TV series. So I don't know. I'm just, whatever God wants, I'm all in. So I really don't care either way.
Well, it's just an incredible underdog story, a real-life Rocky story, that is for sure. And the one thing you were able to hang your hat on, Don, outside of your belief and your hard work, was your speed. You have the Don Beebe House of Speed, which is a speed camp for athletes to try to get better in high school, in college, to go on to the next level. A lot of NFL players and players in other sports have gone to your speed camp. And you really needed something, Don, to jump out at people, because you were coming from a smaller school, and it was your speed that kind of caught their attention and was your calling card.
Yeah, I think especially where I came from, NAI Division II, I mean, something had to just jump off the page at, NFL scouts. I mean, because you look at me and you're like, yeah, football player? No. So I get invited to the combine, and I'm going to tell a little expert of the book, but I get invited to the NFL Combine in 1989, February of 1989. Well, how I got invited in the first place to that, the top 300 players in all of college, and I'm going to get invited from a Division II school in NAI? Give me a break, right? So then I go there. I didn't even know what an agent was. I didn't know I needed an agent, so I didn't have any running shoes. Everybody else there had agents and people there. And, we're talking about Barry Sanders, Troy Aikman, all these guys, Deion Sanders. They all had agents, And I literally ran the 40 during that combine in my old high school fishing shoes, my ASIC fishing shoes. And these shoes were so old. These shoes are so old that the right sole halfway was unglued. So when I ran, it really flopped. And I ran in a flopping fishing shoe, and this is the truth, and I didn't know this at the time, but I ran a 4.25. What they posted on ESPN that night was not true because the media couldn't get in the dome at that time, unlike they do now. But I ran a 4.25 in a flopping fishing shoe, and the reason I say that is because it changed my life. My life turned around in a matter of one day. Okay, 4.2 seconds, and going from a complete unknown to a first pick. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now, here's the other history on this, too, is that record of 4.25, Deion Sanders also ran a 4.25 that year, and it broke the all-time record. And that record stood for 17 years until Chris Johnson of the Titans broke it. And the only reason I know that is Bill Polian told me that face-to-face.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Tanner, go ahead. I know you have a question here.
We talked about this a little earlier, and I think it's a good segment into one of my questions. So you were an underdog story, kind of had to fight to get into that you looked up to when you were coming up and making your way into the league that inspired and motivated you?
Well, okay, outside of football, it was my father, obviously, and I think every father should be a son's hero. But from a player standpoint, Walter Payton. Walter Payton was... when I grew up in high school and Cleveland in the late 70s, Peyton, the reason is because he was such a humble NFL all-star, and his work ethic was second to nobody. And I just loved how his approach to the game was.
On the phone with us, Don Beebe played for the Buffalo Bills, the Green Bay Packers, won 4 AFC championship games with the Bills, 1 NFC championship with the Packers, 1 Super Bowl with the Packers in 1996, 219 receptions, over 3,400 yards, 23 touchdowns. Don, you've been a part of a lot of memorable games. I want to talk to you about the Super Bowl in 1990. Don't want to talk about the Scott Norwood kick. I know that's what gets talked about a lot, but I want to talk about Bill Belichick. Now, it could be revisionist history, but people say that his defensive game plan has gone to Canton in the Hall of Fame, and, he's famous for now saying that he played upon Jim Kelly's ego, that they totally played a pass defense, only rushing 2 or 3 guys, and that if you guys had ran the football with Thurman consistently and with conviction, you guys would have been able to run all over them. They would have had to adjust, and it would have been a totally different game. Let me ask you, you were there in the moment. Did you guys realize they were playing pass defense and trying to bait you into running, or were you guys just so set on what you did and you did it so well, that's what you were going to try to do in that game?
Well, first of all, okay, it wasn't the Giants' defense that won that game. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, in the minutes that we had the ball, we scored as many minutes as points. I mean, we had 19, I think we had the ball 19 minutes to their 41. And so it was our defense and their offense, basically, that won that game. I mean, Otis Anderson, we couldn't get him off the field. And so that was the difference in the game. If we would have been able to get some 3 and outs on the defense and be able to get the ball back into Jim's hands, I think we win the game going away. I really do. Unfortunately for myself, too, is I didn't get to play in that game. So, and not saying that would have made a difference, but I do think that I would have been able to, keep those safeties off of Andre, because Andre was taking a beating. And every time he kicked the ball across the middle, those safeties and backers were playing playing up so tight because we really didn't have, both sides, me and James used to spread that out. And, boy, how many times have you seen Andre catch that drive route underneath and take it for 30, And we just, we couldn't get them spread. So, but the biggest reason is their offense. We just couldn't get them off the field.
You make a great point. It just seemed like the Giants were getting 3.3 yards per play with O.J. Anderson, just enough to move those chains and eat up more clock and keep that K-gun on the sideline. You mentioned the physicality of the secondary and the cornerbacks in that game, just like the NBA in the late 80s, early 90s. They could be extremely physical, the secondary cornerbacks and safeties with wide receivers. John, I'm sure you would love to be playing today. You would have a lot more catches, a lot more yards, and a lot more touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, my son is in the game today, so I get to see it firsthand from his eyes now, and it's just a completely different game. I mean, it's like they can't even get touched, and if they do get hit, my goodness, I would have had so many less concussions, the way we would have got hit and the way they get hit now. I mean, it's just crazy. I got hit one time head-to-head, helmet to helmet, that it caved my face mask into my face. I mean, that's how hard I got hit, and there was no penalty.
So you played in Buffalo from 1989 to 1994. That means you got to play under owner Ralph Wilson. What was it like to work for him and play for him? Do you have any moments that you shared with Ralph Wilson that stick out?
Yeah, he was the consummate owner. Unlike what you see from some owners today, without naming names, Mr. Wilson was a man of integrity. He demanded it out of his guys as far as integrity and just have high character. And I just, listen, when you play for a Hall of Fame owner, Hall of Fame GM, Hall of Fame head coach, I mean, give me a break. I mean, it should be Hall of Fame fans, too, because they should be in the Hall of Fame as well, because it was just absolutely the best time in sports anywhere, at any sport, at any time. And it all starts with the owner.
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this. Another iconic game and another iconic play. The play where you chased down Leon Lett in the Super Bowl and you knocked the ball out of his hand at the 1-yard line.
Well, there's a few things to mention on that. And first, let's just talk about Mr. Wilson, because when I made the play, you saw my reaction. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, we're getting beat 52-17. What's there to be happy about or even gratitude about, And the first time I actually thought that it meant something was when we get in the locker room. Mr. Wilson literally walked by everybody, came right to my locker. I saw him come in the locker room. I was just kind of taking my clothes off and getting ready for a shower and everything. And he literally comes out of my locker and he said, and I'm sitting there in my locker, and he goes, son, he didn't say Mr. 82, he didn't say Don, he said, hey, son, I just want you to know what you did today showed everybody what the Buffalo Bills are all about. And I thought to myself, well, that's a pretty powerful statement coming from him. And then it started to register that maybe it certainly meant something to him, and then I get invited down to the media room. Scott Birch told the media guy, comes in and says, hey, the media wants to talk to him. I'm like, well, why don't they talk to Jim? I mean, I don't want to, he's lost. I don't want to go down there. And they said, no, they want to talk to you about the play. I said, what play? And they said, Leon Lett running down. I was like, okay. So I go down there, and I couldn't believe the questions. I fielded questions for over an hour about that play. And then I get home to One Bills Drive, and I got boxes of hundreds and hundreds of letters, and this is the amazing thing about it, and this is the God's honest truth. Here we are 5, 6, 7 years later now. I still get at least one, and most times multiple letters every day. It's never missed a day.
Wow.
In that many years, from somebody around the country talking or telling me something about the Leon Lett play. I mean, is that unreal?
Man.
And for me, it's just, I'll be honest, Joel and Tanner, it's just given me such a great platform to speak to kids and parents and just whatever function I'm speaking at across the country, and I do a lot of them. I'm never giving up. And my dream going to the game was I really felt like I was going to catch the touchdown to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that was my envision. But how many people really in the stages, that I'm talking can relate to something like that?
Right.
Nobody. But how many can relate to the never giving up? Everybody.
Yep.
And it just gives me such a great platform, and I'm honored to be able to be that guy.
So on that play as a wide receiver, I don't know if you were running a curl or a slant or a square in or a square out or a deep out or a fly pattern. How far did you have to run to catch it?
Yeah, you look at the camera, the team's photo, and I'm not even on it.
Right.
So we know that it's at least over 30 to 35 yards, so we don't really know. And this is one of the stories behind the story that I tell, especially kids in athletics, is that when you react to something, that's really your true character.
Right.
I didn't stand there and think about, should I run him down, should I not run him down? It never happened. I just reacted.
Right.
Because how you react is really who you are. And so I just took off. I just started running, and literally, and this is what I get asked a lot, what were you thinking? As you're running down the sideline right in front of the Dallas bench, what were you thinking? I was thinking, how am I going to tackle this guy? I mean, this is a giant of a man. I mean, I was going to jump on the dude's back, and maybe roll me right out the back of the end zone,
Exactly.
But he made my job easy, and I really didn't realize I was going to get there until that last few steps.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the whole moral of the whole story, Joel, is if he would have given it everything he could have, okay, he'd have scored without question, okay? And if he would have gave everything that he had and tucked it away, and I still knocked the ball out, it would have became our ball 20-yard line going the other way, nobody would have said a thing to him.
Right.
Because all we ask in our country is just try. Just try. We can live with losses and wins. Just try.
Don, I know you're a man of faith. You're very proud of that. You don't shy away from it when asked. I know back in the day, Kurt Warner and other players kind of taken some flack and some criticism when they bring it up in interviews or in post-game press conferences or whatever. Some people just seem to be offended by that. They feel like you shouldn't mention the religion thing and God and, keep that out of the game. That's your own private life. Your thoughts on that being a public figure, but also not hiding and shying away from what you stand for and believe in?
Well, I'm not here to offend anybody. So I'm not trying to offend anybody when I talk about. If people ask me who I am and what's most important in my life, I got to tell them. I mean, I'm not going to lie and make something up. I mean, my faith is number one, hands down. So, and one thing I will never be is bashful or shy about my faith in Christ, ever.
Sure.
Okay, that's just who I am. And I try to say it in a way that's not offending to somebody so that actually we can have a legit conversation. I think that's the problem with our country now.
Right.
I mean, nobody's willing to just sit down and talk. I mean, for crying out loud. It's just, I got my opinion, and I care less what you think. I think if we just sit down and humbly talk to each other, we could have some great conversation.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Let me ask you one quick question about the current Bills. Josh Allen, is he the quarterback to get the Bills not only back to the playoffs, but the Super Bowl for the first time since you were a member of the Buffalo Bills in 1993?
I think from a talent standpoint, yes. He's going to need somebody, and again, this is yet to be seen. He kind of reminds me a little Favre, okay? And I was there in the early days of Favre, and I will say this, if it wasn't for Mike Holmgren, we would have never known who Brett Favre was and became.
Right.
Because Mike really kind of taught him the game and taught him that, listen, we don't need to throw it into that situation. We don't need to throw it deep all the time. Okay, the number one stat in quarterbacking is completion ratio. Okay, so let's do the Joe Montana way of life, okay, in the West Coast offense, and complete the first read, okay, if it's open. Okay, and if that might be a 3-yard pass that he takes 10, great. Let's just move the chains. And so if they get him to do that, then I think Josh could be a great quarterback.
You played with two Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Jim Kelly. He retired as a Buffalo Bill. You played with Brett Favre, who then went on to play for the Minnesota Vikings, a hated rival of the Green Bay Packers. Some people were blown away by that, then finished his career with the Jets. Your thoughts on Tom Brady going to Tampa Bay? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I actually was. But the thing about it is, from his standpoint, I guess, and I don't know the inside of this, but what more could he accomplish?
Right.
He goes to Tampa and wins the Super Bowl in Tampa? I mean, come on. That'd be crazy, right? But I think that's what makes Tom tick.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more that he can accomplish in New England. So let's go try somewhere like a terrible team like Tampa and see what happens.
That's true. If he can get the Bucs to the promised land, it would certainly solidify anybody's questions about him being the greatest. Montana got very close with the Chiefs. Matter of fact, against the Bills, trying to win with the Chiefs. Didn't get to the glory land though. So if Tom can do that, it's something that not a lot of quarterbacks have done. Don, listen, stay healthy, my friend, and be well. And thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, no problem, Joel. Talk to you later.
There you go, Don Beebe. You can check out a lot of great stuff on donbeebe.com. You can also pick up his book there. And Don Beebe can record a cameo for you. So let's say you have a huge Buffalo Bills fan in your house or in your family. And, it's hard to go out and shop right now and even get things sent in the mail. This is a great thing. It doesn't cost that much money, and he'll record a message, a minute or two message for somebody. That would be a real cool gift for a huge Buffalo Bills fan, a member of the Bills Mafia. Let's jump over to our musical portion of the show. We're being joined by local singer-songwriter Brad Ordway via Zoom. If you can't go out and enjoy local music live, we'll bring it to you. All right? It's our living room radio concert. And Brad, we talked about you being a retired teacher. My wife is a teacher, and under these circumstances, very difficult for teachers and students to try to finish out this school year.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not involved in that right now, Joel, because first of all, technology is challenging, but, physical education, teaching, online, I could see us doing, some workouts and doing a lot of fitness, but my hearts go out to those teachers who have got to really, bring the classroom to every home here. Now that the Regents exams have been suspended, it makes it kind of tough motivationally to keep the students involved at that level.
Have you had a lot of gigs canceled, or is it still early in the season for you?
Well, it's early for me because I'm retired. My wife and I, for the last 3 years, have been traveling out west. We have a son in California. And during this time, I didn't really schedule any gigs, but I have had one canceled, and I did a Facebook Live instead, and just to try to keep the rust off for me, so to speak. And also, it was a great time. Actually, I could see the comments coming across my phone as I'm playing, and it was really awesome. There was more interaction really over the phone than sometimes a live performance. So it was cool to really reconnect, too, with a lot of ex-students that just all of a sudden came popping up on the screen. So it was kind of exciting.
All right, what do you want to play for us here now?
This is off the Family Man CD. It's called What Do You Do on a Saturday Night? My first 7 years of teaching, I was in a town the size of Greenwood, Jasper. Some of those people will be able to relate. It's kind of hard to find things to do. And it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek love song, and some of my humor comes out in this song as well. So I thought it was pretty appropriate. In these days, it's really hard to find things to do while we're cooped up.
All right, let's turn it over to him. It's Brad Ordway on 92.1 The Team.
Oh, and what do you do on a Saturday night in a snowbound town with one traffic light? It's been the same for years and years, so far away from love, so far away from tears. What do you do on the Saturday night when the snow subsides and the wind just flies? Avalanche of light burning with haze. The ghosts fly by, but what's left behind is a wall of light that slows by. Oh, and what do you do on a Saturday night in a snowbound town with one traffic light? It's been the same for years and years, and so far away from home, so far away. What do you do on a Saturday night? gonna go to the auction barn that's right next door. Or let the wind just carry us down to the neighborhood liquor store. But baby, I'd trade the excitement for a quiet cozy night in front of our carousel meter, our roaring fireplace light. What do you do on a Saturday night? Now when the moonlight shines, girl, and the lights don't rise, spotlight streaming slowly round your face. Soon the twilight dies from the clouds and cry. Well, it's another snowstorm blinding this old place. Oh, and what do you do on a Saturday night in a snowbound town with one traffic light? It's been the same for years and years, and so far away from home, so far away from tears. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do on a Saturday night?
All right, there you go. Brad Ordway with an original. Let's take a break. We'll come back with more on 92.1 The Team.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Ernie Hudson. Sometimes I play a hero in the movies and on TV, but what I'm most proud of is being a hero for my 4 kids. I did that by beating cancer twice. And as a dad, there's nothing I wouldn't do to protect my kids from cancer. The human papillomavirus, or HPV, can cause 6 types of cancer. That's why every parent needs to know there's an HPV vaccine, and it can stop cancer before it starts. Girls and boys should get the vaccine at 11 or 12, and there's a catch-up option for teens and young adults. Over 40,000 new cases of HPV-related cancer will be diagnosed this year. Together, we can change those numbers. Be a hero. Call your child's doctor today and ask about the HPV vaccine. Getting tested for cancer saved my life. Getting your son or daughter vaccinated could save theirs. For more information, go to preventcancer.org.
Our veterans risked it all to protect our freedoms. And now, as we all fight the coronavirus, vulnerable veterans have little or no contact with their family or hospital volunteers and staff. Learn how you can help an isolated or sick veteran at healvets.org. Help Heal Veterans, with the support of citizens like you, creates, manufactures, and distributes therapeutic art and crafts projects for our veterans and military at no charge to them. Healvets.org. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans.
92.1 The Team. WCKR Cornell.
It is my pleasure to introduce the newest member of the Section 5 Football Hall of Fame, my father, Wayne Carroll. Love you, Dad.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much, Nick Carroll, right there, and a former player as well, Matt Herrick. And let's bring him on. He is knocking down the doors of Section 5 Football Hall of Fame. I'll give you some of his credentials as soon as we get him on. He coached at Romulus for 5 years and at Bath Haverling for 27. 183 and 101 is his career record, 64%. He has won 7 Section 5 championships. And people, I believe, are more excited to hear from Coach Wayne Carroll after he's left the sidelines now for about a year and a half than they are to hear Don Beebe. I was getting more responses and people reaching out about our next guest than Don Beebe. Let's bring him on. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, I am so excited to be here today.
Well, Coach, let's talk about this. When did you learn about your selection? Where were you, and when did you find out?
Well, surprisingly, a lot of people might not realize this, but, there was nobody tougher on officials than me. I mean, when you're ranking officials as a head football coach, the worst grade you can give them is a 5. 1 means you're excellent, top-notch. 5 means you don't want to ever see them again. And sometimes during the game, over the years, I told a lot of people. I had the guy who did the officiating call me up one day. His name's Frank Marfine. Calls me up one day. He goes, Wayne, he said, you called me and said you don't want these guys. Wayne, you blackball more people in Section 5 than anybody else. And I said, I stopped for a minute and I paused. I said, well, I really didn't know that. I thought everybody did it like that. He goes, no, Wayne, you are by far blackball more people and more officials than anybody in Section 5. You got to stop. I'm running out of officials. So, long story short, the officials kind of recommended me for the Hall of Fame. Pete McCabe, who I got really close to as an official and a friend of my family, he kind of pushed to get me in there. He said, Wayne, I don't agree what happened with you at Bath, but, you are definitely a Hall of Famer in my book, and he put me in the Hall of Fame, and I got to thank Pete McCabe publicly because he's the one that kind of spearheaded, and he's in charge of the officials. So, I know I was kind of a son of a gun to the officials, but it worked out great in the end.
Where did you get a phone call? Did you get a letter? How did you find? You ran a top-notch program, Coach. You deserve to be in. Congratulations. You'll never be able to have anybody take that away from you now. You are in the Hall of Fame, my friend, and enjoy it. Be good. And from mine to yours, stay safe, Coach, and be healthy.
For now, I'm the only one allowed to visit the artist in residence at Walker Metalsmiths. Let's see what he's up to. What you doing?
Making a diamond engagement ring.
So I see it as a cathedral sort of design with...
Hush, not on the radio. It might be a surprise. You never know who's listening.
Right. You have made a lot of wedding and engagement rings. Which was your favorite?
Remember that couple from the festival in Fairport?
That could be a lot of people.
3 years in a row, they came in during Canal Days Festival and shopped for a ring, but insisted they were not getting engaged or married.
They dithered for 3 years before you showed them that awesome purple sapphire.
Both of their faces lit right up, and I knew it was going to be theirs.
I remember when they came in to pick it up. He made her wait outside, he brought it out to her, and proposed right on the steps of Walker Metalsmiths.
It was great. The ring is nice, too.
I think Steve likes telling stories just as much as he loves making jewelry.
I miss seeing our customers, but you can still connect on Facebook, Instagram, and through our website at walkerscelticjewelry.com.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like the Vacnado 2000. A Wi-Fi connected vacuum that uploads Dust Bunny data to the cloud for real-time optimization. Whatever that means. But really, it's just a very expensive doggy chew toy. With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Welcome back to the Joel Oriend Show.
Like the doctor said the day you were born, it's gonna get ugly.
On 92.1 The Team.
Want to bring on our next guest, Jake Prasuti. We've been talking a lot of NFL with free agency and the draft and going down memory lane with the Buffalo Bills, greatest comeback of all time, and some of the Westwood One Classic football games we've been broadcasting on 92.1 The Team. Jake was a standout basketball player and a standout athlete at Genesee Valley in the early 2000s. He then walked on at Syracuse University, worked in the front office of the Houston Rockets in the NBA, and he is now an assistant coach for Marquette University. Let's bring him on. Want to catch up with him, see how he is doing, how everything is going on in his world, how Marquette did, and how all of this is affecting him in regards to recruiting and preparing for next season. Jake, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Jake, how are you? Are you? Where are you? Are you self-isolated, quarantined, and where are you located right now?
Well, you called me on a good day. My wife and I just got home today. We welcomed our third child on Monday.
Wow.
So we just got home a few hours ago. So we're doing good. We're doing good. It's a unique time to bring a child into the world, but everyone's healthy and doing good.
Well, they're going to have one heck of a story to tell about when they were born. It'll be easy to remember when they came into. What's the bundle of joy's name?
Grant. It's our third boy. We have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and now a newborn.
All right. So is Grant for Grant Hill? I know you're a basketball guy.
I am a basketball guy, but I'm also a big historian buff. So it's actually, we have a Lincoln, we have a Theodore, and now we have a Grant. So after the president.
Sure. Okay. Terrific. So that's good that you guys are all home. You're all safe. Have you talked with your family? Do you have a lot of family still here in the Southern Tier?
Yeah. Most of my family lives in the Belmont, Angelica area. My parents are actually out here. They were watching the kids while we were in the hospital. But I have a ton of family back home, and it's always great to visit with them.
Now, Jake, where are you located?
I'm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
How is it there? Is it everybody quarantined? Is it shut down there, or is it maybe a little less severe than it is here right now in New York?
No, we're in full stay-at-home order shutdown. So the essential businesses are only going to work, and the schools are shut down. We haven't been shut down for the schools haven't been shut down for the year yet, but it sounds like it's trending towards that.
Want to get your thoughts on this, Jake? You were a former standout athlete in Section 5, a great basketball player. The winter sports were cut short just as they were getting into the state playoffs. The Avoca boys basketball team had made it to the Far West Regional for the first time in 30 years. The Dansville girls team had made it to the Far West Regional, first time in program history. So as a former player and now as a coach at the collegiate level, your thoughts on these kids, especially the seniors, their season getting cut short?
Yeah, I mean, my heart goes out to those teams. You know, I obviously was following when Genesee Valley was in it, and I believe they got beat by Avoca. But my heart goes out to them. You know, you work so hard. I can't imagine being in their position, especially the seniors, not being able to finish your season. And my heart just goes out to them. I don't know. I can't imagine their thought process and how they're feeling.
Now, when you played for Genesee Valley, you not only won a lot of team awards, you won a lot of individual awards. Obviously, you're a team guy, you're a coach, you believe in the team concept, but what's one award you won individually that you're most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, I would obviously, like you said, I'm most proud of the sectional titles that we won as a group, and we were able to win one in my junior year. We were able to win one in soccer, basketball, and baseball in the same year, which we're really proud of. And we the group of guys that we won with, we talked often about that. But you know, I think if I had to say one award or recognition that I was proud of was just being able to represent in the regional Ronald McDonald game up in Rochester, being able to represent Genesee Valley and my community and playing that game, you know, obviously for a great cause, and that meant a lot.
On the phone with us, Jake Pursuti, standout basketball player for Genesee Valley, then walked on at Syracuse University, worked in the front office of the Houston Rockets, and is now an assistant coach for the men's basketball team at Marquette University. Jake, I'm sure you had a lot of offers and interest from D2 and D3 schools and maybe even JUCO schools and, I don't know, possibly other D1 schools, but you chose to not take any of those offers and wanted to walk on at Syracuse University?
You know, I really like St. John Fisher. They're at the Division III level. I had the head coach of Wellsville, Ramey Allman, played on the team at that time, and I was really interested in playing for them. But what really tugged at my heart was, I knew I wanted to get into coaching, and I I just felt like I would be put in a better position if I tried to get on that track early. And, I'm fortunate that my parents allowed me to chase my dreams, but I was really torn between playing at St. John Fisher in Rochester or going to Syracuse.
Did you have any conversations with Boeheim before going, or did you just show up on the first day of tryouts and try out? How did that work?
Actually, so I went to camp there. A teammate of mine at Genesee Valley and I went to camp there the summer going into my senior year. I had a pretty good week at camp, and one of their assistant coaches and a couple of their support staff talked to me throughout the week, and they asked me, like, oh, what are you doing? And I kind of told them my story. I kind of told them my what I wanted to do, my dreams, and it kind of just escalated from there about being a walk-on. Would you be interested and things like that? They actually brought me up to a few games as a guest of theirs throughout the season, and it's just something that I was really intrigued by. I mean, I obviously knew it was going to be a really hard thing. They didn't promise me anything, but just the opportunity to work for that was, I just couldn't pass it up. So, I kind of had a little bit of an in because they knew I was coming there, and I met with them, but nothing was promised. So I actually didn't make the team my freshman year.
Okay.
The spot that I presumed to have or had a shot at, the kid came back to school for a fifth year. So I didn't make the team, and they offered me basically a basketball manager spot. I was able to get into practice and work out with the guys and things like that. But I didn't make the team my freshman year, and that was a really hard thing to swallow. It was a kind of a gut-wrenching thing for me because I had to make some decisions. Obviously there was thoughts about leaving and trying to go play somewhere, but I decided to stick it out. Obviously that was one of the best years for me. I grew, I got stronger, I became friends with guys on the team, and then the next year I was able to be on the team.
Well, that's a perfect example of your love and respect for the game, even at that young age. So certainly no shock that you're a coach now. Favorite playing memory at Syracuse University? One jump out at you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play a lot of the guys I currently coach at Marquette. They joke with me a lot about that. But I think the memory that I hold, obviously I was very fortunate to be a part of some great teams, but the playing memory I have is I hit a shot at Madison Square Garden when we played St. John's, and I'll just never forget that.
That is pretty awesome. You hit a bucket at the most famous arena in the world. I'm sure you'll remember that for the rest of your life. I want to have you give the young men and women here in Steuben and Livingston County in Section 5 that play basketball, they go to varsity basketball, they do the drills and all of that, but take us inside. What is it like at a Division I basketball practice when you were at Syracuse University? You're now an assistant coach at Marquette.
Yeah, so, I mean, being at Marquette, I've been at some other places, but Syracuse does things a little differently. It's just how Coach Bam likes it. But, practices are not long, per se, but the role as a walk-on and, players get there super early. They get their work in before and after practice, so it becomes a long period of time. But practices are intense. They're obviously competitive. The scholarship guys are competing for minutes. But Coach Boeheim, he walks the fine line of practicing, getting better, but also being smart about not getting guys injured and things like that. I think a lot of coaches, you always want to feel like you need to do something and get better. But if a guy gets injured, I would say at any level, he could miss multiple games, and that ultimately affects the team. So that was one of the biggest things I took away. But that's what I think taken away from a Division I practice is, yes, they're hard, they're competitive, physical, all of those things, but there's so much more rhythm to them because you're trying to be smart about the wear and tear on the guy's body.
On the phone with us, Jake Pursuti. He was a standout basketball player for the Genesee Valley Jags, winning sectional championship and many individual awards. And you were in the smallest classification in Section 5, Class D, so you didn't play against, A and double A schools. For those of us that didn't get to play and be part of a Division I basketball team, what's the biggest difference jumping from Genesee Valley in Class D in Section 5 to D1? Is it just the speed, the athleticism, the size?
Yeah, speed, athleticism, physicality. I mean, I think, and this is no knock on the officials of the Southern Tier, but the physicality that you're allowed to play with at that level is completely different. Speed is for sure something that is noticeably different. The biggest thing for me was how do you get your shot off? Everyone's so much faster, so much longer and quicker than you are. Like, you have to be super creative in how to get your shot off and kind of find your niche, especially in practice or pickup games.
So we've talked a little bit about your accomplishments here throughout your basketball career. You played at Genesee Valley, won sectional titles and awards, walked on at Syracuse University. You go on to work in the front office of the Houston Rockets. Now you're an assistant coach at Marquette University. What has been your favorite stop in your career? Did you enjoy your basketball career more as a player, or have you enjoyed this next chapter more, being in an NBA front office and being in the business of coaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think all of the stops have been unique. I obviously miss playing, miss that competitiveness and things of that nature, but you can kind of do that on the coaching side, whether you're scouting opponents or, preparing your team. The NBA experience was super unique. I wasn't on the coaching side. I was in the front office. So it's less about relationships and more about, putting together the team. But I would say my current role is my favorite, just because you get to forge incredible relationships and, not only with your current team, but also recruiting kids from all over the country and, getting to know them and their family and their circle. So I would say my current role.
So you worked in the front office of the Houston Rockets. They were one of the first teams to really implement a lot of analytics in what they do. Did you take any of that with you to Marquette? Do you guys use a lot of analytics with your basketball team?
Yeah, we do. We do. Coach Wojo, coming from Duke, and, we try to incorporate as much advanced stats as we can. There's some great services out there that we use in college that both scout opponents and your team. But, it's important. It allows you to kind of see the game from a different lens, and it allows you to kind of match up what you're seeing on film to what the numbers say, because the numbers, they generally don't lie.
Let's talk about the Marquette Eagles. You guys finished the season 18-12, losing in the first round of the Big East tournament, but you lost your last 3 games by 2 points or less. And while there's no moral victories, Jake, you guys were playing well there at the end.
Yeah, I thought we had a good season. Down the stretch, we didn't play our best basketball. I think we were looking forward to the opportunity of kind of getting on the right track in the Big East tournament. I think we felt like we were in the tournament, in the NCAA tournament, probably between an 8 and 10, 11 seed. So, we felt good about that. I thought it was a good year. We had a terrific team, terrific group. We kind of rode the wave of the season. I just wish we could have finished the season a little stronger, and then obviously we could have played in the postseason.
So talk to me about the team. Who do you guys graduate? Who's coming back?
Well, we lose one of the best players to ever play at Marquette, a kid named Marcus Howard. He was an unbelievable kid. I was fortunate to coach him for 4 years. He finished as the all-time leading scorer in school history, but also the all-time leading scorer in Big East history. He led the country in scoring this past year. He was the first-team All-American. We lose him. We also lose a kid named Sakar Annam, who made the greatest jump development-wise that I've ever seen a kid make. He was getting recruited at the mid-major level, and he came to Marquette and worked his butt off and became a 3-year starter. So we, losing those 2 guys is big, but we do return a very talented team. We have a great recruiting class. We have a kid named Dawson Garcia out of Minnesota who's a McDonald's All-American, 6'10", with ball skills. He's very talented. And we have a kid we call Oso out of Arizona, who's very, very talented. He's 6'10" as well, but he's more of a guard, wing. And then we have a kid named Justin Lewis out of Baltimore, who's very talented. He's more of a, he can do a lot of things. He led the EYBL at AU in rebounding, and, we're just excited about that group, and then having that group play with our returning group. So we're excited about next year.
So as you mentioned, the head coach at Marquette is Wojo, Steve Wojciechowski. He played for Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. Let me ask you, when you guys are sitting around watching film or just sitting around chit-chatting in the coach's office or on the bus or the plane, do you guys debate Coach Boeheim's 2-3 zone and Coach Krzyzewski's man-to-man?
We argue a lot about the zone versus man, that's for sure. I haven't been able to convince Coach to play more zone, but we do play it in spurts. We talk a lot about it. Obviously, Coach Wojo worked with Coach Boeheim with the U.S. national team, and they kind of have a history there. But we always joke. They play now twice a year in the ACC, so those games are a little tense, especially when we're together when they're playing. Just a lot of trash talk, but it's all in good fun.
So you mentioned you're located out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin now. What is the one thing you miss the most about living in New York and being around this area?
Good chicken wings.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. You are hard pressed, and I love it here. I love it, but you are hard pressed to find good chicken wings around here, and there's some, you can get them pretty much anywhere in Western New York, but it's not like a thing that you're a little unsure when you order chicken wings whether they're going to be right, and that'd be other than my family, I would say chicken wings.
Go ahead, give a plug. When you were a kid or in high school, where was your favorite place to go and get chicken wings in Belmont?
I tell you, I don't know if it's still called Crosby's, but there's a place Crosby's right in town there had great wings, and we would just to pop in there after school or on the weekends and eat. But I really like them from anywhere. You could get them from literally anywhere in Western New York, and they're better than most places out here. So.
Okay, my last question for you, and who knows, they might be out there listening right now and say, oh, man, somebody that played at the D1 level just threw my name out there. But when you were playing at Genesee Valley, who was the toughest player or team to go up against? Either offensively, you couldn't get your shot off like you normally could, or defensively, you just had a hard time slowing them down.
Yeah, I think, I was lucky. When I was in high school, we had very good teams. And so, every day you were playing against, in my opinion, some of the better players, whether that was, Ramey Allman, Nick Kelly, Ryan Ostrander, those guys that are friends of mine now, but they were every day you had battles with those guys and you got better because of it. But when I was in high school, Whitesville and Wellsville had great teams, and not to single one person out, but they just had great teams. They knew how to play, and you just knew going into those games that it was going to be a dogfight. And those are the two schools, and that it was most difficult for sure.
Jake, listen, thanks so much. The best to you, the proud mama, your bundle of joy that just came into the world just a couple days ago, your entire family. Thanks so much for coming on. Continued success, my friend, and be safe and be healthy.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Anytime, and you guys stay safe and healthy as well.
All right, there you go. Jake Prasuti from Belmont, Genesee Valley standout. Now an assistant coach for the Marquette Golden Eagles. And now that SU was out of the Big East, I think I'm going to become a Marquette fan now and follow the Eagles in the Big East. I'm sure there's a lot of Marquette fans in Belmont. I know a lot of people follow Jake, very proud of him and all of his accomplishments, and he is on his way to a great coaching career, and he's got a wonderful family, so we wish him the best. Now let's go to our house band. Let's play one more song here before we go to commercial break. It's Brad Ordway. He is helping us with our living room radio concert live on Zoom. Brad, when is your next scheduled performance right now?
It's scheduled for May 23rd at Cider Creek in Canisteo. It's usually I play from like 7 to 10:30. It's a great place. It's one of my favorite places to play. The acoustics are awesome for a musician, and the crowd's usually really good, too. Kevin Collins, he's a very positive guy. He would love to have it open, but we'll see. Right now, he's making sanitizers. He's doing his part and making a bunch of sanitizers, so we'll see what happens.
And if you're looking for a local musical fix, you can find Brad on Facebook. He has some Facebook Live performances archived on his Facebook page. Brad, what's your next song you want to play here?
Joe, before I introduce the next song, BradOrdway.com.
Okay.
It's a good place to go to see where my gigs are.
Sure.
I have all the dates listed. BradOrdway.com.
All right.
And the next song, an original, it's one of my kids' favorites. I have 4 children. They're all grown up now, very grown up. but this is their favorite song. They keep saying, Dad, this is the song. And I'm like, okay. It's a song that I just wrote really with radio. It's about the radio. It's about the dedication lines that they have late at night. Where they call in and they want to dedicate a song to somebody. And I just made up a story about this couple that's fighting, and the dedication line is that's what saves them in the.
All right, here we go. It's Brad Ordway with one of his originals on 92.1 The Team.
Tuned in to late night radio dedication line. The voice was soft and low, and from that moment I wish you were mine. As I drove out 89, she'd been driving all night, running away from a terrible fight, but there was nothing left she could say. Nothing left to say. As she fought back the tears and remembered all those wasted years gone by, oh, she asked for the song that I thought only belonged to this broken-hearted guy driving down Route 89. Driving down Route 89. Pulled into a rest stop, I was blinded by the rain that was inside my car from my tears of pain. Ain't it funny how a song can take you back again? There were so many things that I didn't say. Too many times my pride got in the way. If I only had just one more day. But as that song fades, I hear a lady from the payphone say, hey, thank you for my dedication. It was my last chance, last way to tell him please come back and stay. Won't you please come back and stay? Well, I jumped out of my car, she looked up at me. It was a dedication line that saved me as I drove down Route 89.
All right, another great original there by local singer-songwriter Brad Ordway, a graduate of Canisteo.